this is Insha Noreen, journalist at Food Ingredient First. Switzerland-based Lucky Shrimp has launched a closed-loop shrimp farming facility to offer a locally produced, antibiotic-free alternative to imports, often linked to mangrove destruction and high transport emissions. Joining me today is co-founder Andreas Zaugg, who is here to share how this innovative approach can support sustainable aquaculture. My first question is, what was the inspiration behind focusing on shrimp farming?
Well, first, my co-founder, Alexander, he had the big question how to supply society with sustainable proteins. And we are environmental engineers, so from our engineers' perspective, the most effective way would be plant-based, obviously. We always say you have to eat the soy yourself and not feed it to a cattle stock in order to get a burger patty. Um, but as we don't want to bring everybody to vegans or make everybody to vegans, we thought about the second best option, and that would be insect-based protein. So it's a very healthy protein source, and it's very efficient to grow. But in Western countries, you will have a problem with the acceptance, right? And in the same time, Alex heard from his friends, families, etc., always like, seafood, shrimps, etc. We really like shrimps, but you hear these stories, you have seen movies about how they are grown, catched, etc. It's not so good. So I really like it, but I stopped eating it. So that was a bit the two stories he had in his mind. And now from our biological view, shrimps are very close related to insects. So the idea was if you could grow shrimps as efficient as you can do it with insects, you would have a sustainable protein source, which is actually accepted as well in our countries. I mean, for shrimps, there's a huge market. It's all over Europe. It's almost 1 million tons per year being imported. And so the idea was born, and the next step was to find the fitting technology to grow them.
Okay, interesting. And how would you say your farming methods are different from conventional shrimp farming?
Well, in general, there is two options to get shrimps. First is wild catch with all its side effects, like wild catch, like bycatch, etc. And second, most shrimps come from pond systems, like from Southeast Asia, South America, where they are grown in just in earth ponds very close to the coast, with huge natural destruction of mangrove forests, etc. A lot of wastewater polluting the environment, yeah, etc., etc. So this is I think the biggest source for shrimp. When it comes to land-based production, then state of the art is so-called RAS system, recirculating aquaculture system, where you have the same water in a system and circulate that through to a filtration system. You can imagine like a swimming pool. You have clear water in it with your animals inside, and all nutrition that gets into the water, like feces from the animals or feed leftovers, must get filtered out as quick as possible in order to maintain the good water quality. So you can imagine you need a lot of filtration system, a high exchange of water, I mean a high pumping rate of water, which means or which causes high capex cost when you want to get such a farm, and as well high operational costs for energy, which give you the problem you stay in concurrence with shrimps being wild catch or just from Southeast Asia in an earth pond. So there is a price problem. That's state of the art. What we did, we took the so-called Biofloc method and transferred that, improved that with our own technology. So the main difference is that all the water maintaining microorganisms, they live with the animal in the same tank, in the same water. So our water is not clear, it's rather turbid, but the water quality is really high. That means all the nutrition that gets to the water is instantly captured by that biomass, by that microorganism. It's plankton, it's phyto and zooplankton. So the water quality stays high and it's all captured in that biomass. And now the good thing is the shrimp in its natural environment feeds about 70% of plankton. So these nutritions are again available for the shrimp as natural feed. So our shrimp has a much better nutrition than than it would have in a conventional farm. On the other hand, in our system that we have developed ourselves, we call it a kind of a hybrid system. We still have some filtration, but it's way smaller than as it would be with a conventional state-of-the-art system. So that makes it cheaper in capex, but as well much cheaper in operation. Yeah, that's the main difference, I would say so.
Okay, thank you for explaining that so clearly for us. And there's also a claim by the company that it does not use antibiotics in the system. So how do you maintain the shrimp health without pharmaceutical intervention?
Mm. Yeah, as just mentioned, we have a huge, we call that microbiome in the water. So you could imagine, simply put, if you have the conventional system, it's like empty water. So if you bring in a disease or whatever somehow, I mean, from outside, if a disease comes in, it's just a blank paper. It just can spread. And in the Biofloc system, there is so much biology already there. These gaps are all occupied. So interesting is there's like some specific shrimp diseases that everybody's afraid of. You can find them if you take water samples and analyze them. You can find them, but they never break out. They are just being pushed down by our biofloc, let's so say. So until now, in the last 5 years, we never had any bigger or major issues with diseases. And on the other hand, if you would work with antibiotics, as you just mentioned before, you basically would kill your own system with it. So it can't be by design. It's not possible to use antibiotics.
Okay, great. And how are you educating consumers about the environmental cost of imported shrimp and also maybe positioning your product as an alternative?
Well, we believe if people understand the story behind their food, that changes a lot. And we can observe within the last few years, people understand a lot more and ask a lot more questions. I mean, for instance, the question, what do you feed your shrimps or how do you feed your shrimps? That never raised like 5 years ago, and nowadays it's very often asked. So people start to ask this question. People want to understand where their food comes from. And so, I mean, we invite as well people to come here and see our farm, see how we grow our shrimps, how they grow here, to understand as well. I mean, for instance, we cannot compare with cheap import from Southeast Asia. We are way more expensive by kilogram. But on the other hand, you have a healthy product. You can be sure there's no residuals of any chemicals in it. Plus, the quality is absolutely top notch, and that's important. So you see there, if people understand that story behind, if people see and understand the difference and the quality, they are as well willing to pay a higher price so far.
Okay. And what would you say were some of the challenges while growing the shrimp using your method, and how do you overcome them?
um, well, let's say the biofloc method that we use, we rather call it a bioreactor, our system. So in general, we we take more care of our water than of the shrimp. Because if we know that we have the water in the right balances, we know as well the shrimp is going to be fine. So there is not like, let's just say, one or two or three like microorganisms. It's hundreds, thousands of different species. So if you change any parameter of that system and you think now, okay, now I understood how it works. If I change that and that, let's just say temperature or salinity or whatever, and then the action or the reaction of the system will be this and that. Behind your back, there will be 15 other things happening you haven't foreseen. So I would say the most tricky part was to keep such a system in balance. That's why we have had a very small scale pilot farm where we could try that all out, where we could learn a lot before we just built this large scale farm here. I think that was the biggest challenge to keep to keep the system in balance.
Okay, great. That sounds really interesting. And in future, how do you see Lucky Shrimp's role in reshaping the seafood industry and also with its sustainability and innovation advancement?
Well, and during our last existence of the in the last 5 years, we have seen there is many companies providing aquacultures. If you want to build an aquaculture farm, whatever for fish, for shrimp, whatever you want, you find companies they build you that. If you have the fitting wallet, you can do that. But what is missing is companies having the experience in growing shrimp. And that's where we see the market gap. So we want in the future, let's just say in 5 years, we want to provide the technology. We want to provide the operating system for the whole farm. We provide the feed, the larvae, the know-how, which is very important, the brand, and as well the financing solution. So we want to set up, let's just say, a system, an all-in-one system that we can offer to our customers to spread it all over Europe in order to grow more sustainable shrimp and to replace a part of the import.
Okay, great. Thank you for your time, Andreas. It was great talking to you.
Thank you very much, Asia, for having me.